First of all, we're going to talk about this extraordinary meeting which took place yesterday. So I'm going to read what was actually unveiled yesterday. So what the special status carries. People have been waiting, long-awaited special status. They have spoken of the special status and what it has to carry. Most people did not know until yesterday a decision was taken and most of what is supposed to be in the special status was read out. And so it is now for us to see if this is actually what the people in the two English-speaking region wants. So as the program starts, I'm going to read everything which was concerned with the special status, and then we'll talk on that later. And so secondly, still in the Republic of Cameroon, we're going to talk about the special bill which is pushed by the government to Parliament for adoption, talking about the bill which is going to put more French in the two English-speaking regions. So how is it going to foster the problem or help in solving the crisis in these two regions? We're going to focus on that. So let me read what was decided yesterday in the extraordinary meeting. The meeting had other things, but we're going to focus on what Part 5 said. Part 5 was concerning the special status of the Northwest and Southwest region. So it begins with Chapter 1 of the General Provision. It is said, Section 327, Sub 1. The Northwest and Southwest region shall have a special status in accordance with the provision of Article 62 of the Constitution. Subsection 2, the special status refers to in Subsection 1. Above shall confer on the Northwest and Southwest region a specific organization and operational regime based on the historic, cultural, and also social values of this region, with due respect for the primary of the state and the national unity and solidarity. Section 328 Sub 1. In addition to the powers devolved on regions by this law, the Northwest and Southwest regions may exercise the following powers: participating in formulation of the national public policies relating to the Anglophone education subsystem, setting up and managing regional development authorities, that is, participating in defining the status traditional chiefdom. Subsection 2. The Northwest and Southwest region may be consulted on issues relating to the formulation of justice public policy in the common law subsystem. Subsection 3. They may be involved in the management of public service established in their respective territories, that is the Northwest and Southwest. Moving over to Chapter 2. Organs of the Northwest and Southwest region. It says, subsection 329, the Northwest and Southwest region shall be administered freely by elected organs under the condition laid down by this law. Subsection 330, the organs of the Northwest and Southwest region shall be the Regional Assembly, the Regional Executive Council. So let's begin with the Regional Assembly. Subsection 331 says the Regional Assembly shall be a deliberative organ in the Northwest and Southwest region. It shall exercise all power devolved upon Regional Council by the law in force. Subsection 332, the Regional Assembly shall be composed of 90 regional councillors elected for 5-year mandate. It shall comprise of 2 houses, the House of Divisional Representative and the House of Chiefs. Moving on to subsection 1 under Chapter 2, House of Divisional Representative. The House of Divisional Representative shall be comprised of 70 members elected by the municipal councillors of the region by a one-round mixed list vote comprising a majority system of proportional representatives. The House of Divisional Representative shall reflect the sociological component of the region as well as gender. Section 334. The House of Divisional Representative shall rule on all matters falling within the powers of the Regional Assembly. It shall comprise of 5 committees, namely the Committee on Administrative and Legal Affairs and Standing Orders, the Committee on Education, the Committee on Health, Population, Social and Cultural Affairs, Youth and Sports, the Committee of Finance, Infrastructure, Planning and Economic Development, the Committee on Environment, Regional Development, State Property, Town Planning and Housing. Senators of this region may take part in the deliberations of the House of Divisional Representatives in an advisory capacity. The President of the House of Divisional Representatives may also involve members of civil society, in proceedings on the specific issues without voting right. The personalities may come from the Economic or Social Council, professional bodies or social groups interested in the issues bills under this review may be accepted too. The House of Divisional Representatives shall be chaired by the President of the Regional Executive Council. When chairing the House of Divisional Representatives, the President of the Regional Executive Council shall be assisted by the Regional Executive Council Secretary, the Secretary General of the region, and members of the Regional Council who are not members of the House of Chiefs can also participate. Where the Regional Executive Council President is absent or unavailable, the eldest Regional Councillor shall chair these proceedings. So these were some of the decisions that were pulled at in the extraordinary session which took place yesterday as concerning the special status. I know it's long, so we're going to put it on our social media outlets. I'm going to send it to you on Facebook, on our Facebook page, the Pan-African Debate, so you can go on there, sit down quietly and read it and really see if there's anything there which could really concerns the crisis or solving the problem. So that was what was decided. So we're also going to talk about this bill which was pushed to the Parliament for adoption concerning the Northwest and Southwest region, that French should be used more than English in these two regions. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we are talking about today. In the course of the program, the lines are going to be open. If you want to call and also contribute, you're free to do that. And you can also follow us on our Facebook page. Just put Afrique Media TV and you see the Pan-African Debate going on and you watch it live. So I'm going to present to you my panel, those who are in the studio with me today. I have Dr. Nick Ngwanyam. Good afternoon. You're welcome.
Thank you. And Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to our listeners. We just hope that we'll be happy with what we have.
Thank you very much for coming. We have Mr. Valentine Ambe. Good afternoon. You're welcome to the debate.
Good afternoon, Emanuela. Good afternoon, televiewers. Good afternoon, my co-panelist, Dr. Nick. It's a privilege to be with you today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming. We also have another panelist who is on the way and he'll meet us in the course of the program. So let's start off this edition by watching this report on the bill that was pushed for French language to be used more in the two English-speaking regions by Rita Moto. We'll be right back after the report.
The controversial bill on the promotion of bilingualism submitted in Parliament by government has finally been adopted. The National Assembly has passed the bill for the use and promotion of English and French as the two official languages across the national territory, despite the quarrels and outcry from lawyers and the civil society. This bill, from whence it was introduced, had attracted and continues to attract criticism from the public. Barrister Akere Muna, who was the first to voice his opinion on the issue. He said it's unimaginable how any peace-loving citizen, given the present context, can propose a bill that makes bilingualism an option in blatant violation of the Constitution. According to the lawyer and civil society actor, the bill is an attempt to further fuel the crisis that has been rocking the Northwest and Southwest regions for the past 3 years. The bill, which had been on the table for lawmakers 2 weeks ago and even withdrawn for adjustment, was reintroduced and finally adopted on Tuesday with just slight changes, notably on Article 26 Sub 2, which states court's decision shall be rendered in any of the official languages, depending on the choice of the litigant and the understanding of all present in the court. However, various lawyers' associations in the Northwest and Southwest regions have described the bill as an attempt to assimilate the English-speaking minority in the country, Cameroon. The Minister of Arts and Culture, Pierre Ismael Bidunkwat, on his part, said after the adoption that the bill is an outcome of one of the main resolutions of the major national dialogue and will help strengthen the country's bilingualism. In a country that is faced with crisis for over 3 years due to the same language problem, most analysts think this is no way to a way out.
Thank you very much, Rita Moto, for that report. So I'm going to begin with you, Dr. Nick. You've heard about the report, you've heard about the bill. What do you think vis-a-vis the bill and the crisis at this point in time after more than 3 years of fighting?
Well, I would say that it's very unfortunate. Unfortunate in the sense that we have a fire that is burning and we have people that are dying and we have real issues that we should be looking at and making sure that we solve the problems. Then, for some odd reason, especially the parliament, which for some odd reason for 3 years pretended there was no problem. And you remember, at one time there was the SDF that was pushing that the Anglophone problem should be looked into, and all the others, they just moved out and abandoned the SDF in the hall. And the SDF, most of them happened to be Anglophones or English speaking. So you get the impression that, you know, that parliament was not interested in solving a problem. Just for them to turn around and then give you something which looks like a poison is very, very irritating. And I just feel so bad because, you know, if you look at I got something on WhatsApp, might be it's true or false, but if it's true, then it's unfortunate. If it's false, please, Mr. Kawaye, excuse me. Because, you know, we read that, you know, when the bill came back again for adoption, he didn't open up any channels for any debate. He kind of like just imposed it and say it's adopted. That's not how parliaments work. It's not a dictatorship. It's not command-and-command. And if that's the way it was done, then no, it doesn't matter what happens. One day it will be changed. You can be sure about that. And it's so unfortunate because, like, I think he might have done that, because if you look at the character of the man, you know, about a month ago or more than a month ago, I think there was something going on, the celebration of the 6th the anniversary or something like that up in the north there, up in Marwa, where there were a couple of other MPs. They were in a hall. I'm sure you remember that picture. And the people up in Marwa, his own people, were complaining about certain things. And remember again, Kawaye is the third personality in the country. There's the president, the president of the country, the president of the Senate, and he is the Speaker of the House. And local people were complaining about little things at their level. And he said that he was going to take their concerns to President Paul Biya. He was not in a position to tell them what they should do. Little things that we could all sit in the community and do. So we are talking about someone who is not used to solving problems, who is just there to rubber stamp things, I don't know, and he will not really listen to bring concrete solutions to things. And we've heard before that, I don't know whether it's true or false, he was burning, that they burned t-shirts of some other militants on. So it's a mindset that needs to be changed, and making people to be suffering unnecessarily is really not the issue. It's not very good. Killing people so that they accept your own point of view is not a good thing. And this is it. We are saying that we need peace in this country, and we should look at the problems as they are and solve them, because this thing where we keep running around in circles and not solving the problems and using the power that we have at to twist people, that is not the way to solve a problem.
And what the magistrate is saying, and so people always had that kind of problem. Somebody's in prison and you ask him, he tells you, I don't even know why, because everything they said there I did not understand. It was in French language. Okay, so now they are saying that French should be used more, and so those same French magistrates are going to be sent there. How is this going to solve the crisis?
Let's put it this way. I'm 63 years old, and I studied some French in secondary school, and I went to Cuse, the medical school in Yaoundé, where I trained and mostly in French, and I also practiced on this side. So, and even till today, okay, I'm in Douala. But this is it. Even with all that exposure, I still have a lot of difficulties with French. And the other day I had some issues. We were dealing with some issues. It was a quiet issue with some lawyers and so on. So I was listening to this legal language. It was not that easy. And we were sitting with a lot of other Francophones, and the lawyer had to be explaining, trying to help us understand the law. These were Francophones. I'm just trying to help everyone understand that even with what I know as French, when it comes to the law, I know nothing. And someone is going to use the French language and nail people unnecessarily, and with their own kind of arrogance, they're just going to push people into some dungeons that don't make sense. So please, if you are really out for justice, judge people in the language that they understand. And the unfortunate thing is, in the law, someone was also trying to explain to me, if you read through those laws, this one may be like those mays and what ought not, giving loopholes so that
and conditions,
yes,
and
sure conditions, whether, so that even if you want to complain, they say no, the law gives me the opportunity to do so. That actually is assimilation, and I don't know why people are doing that. In fact, people like to, when President Paul Biya prescribes something, I don't know why some people like to go the other way. In France, President Paul Biya said, if you didn't hear, I can send you the tip. He said that Anglophones, that for 56 years, they have been trying to assimilate Anglophones. And, at that time when he was speaking in France, he said, no, that assimilation agenda is over. And from that moment on, Anglophones will be left alone. So I don't know why when people are crafting this thing, all they are concerned with is to see how they can continue their assimilation. Please abandon that assimilation thing. The president said he doesn't want it. He wants peace in the nation. So why not just do what the president wants? Do what President Paul Biya wants. Leave Anglophones alone.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nick. Mr. Valentine, when you heard about this bill after everything that is happening, is that what they should be talking about now?
The time by which the bill came is first of all wrong, because we are in a very delicate situation in the nation that we don't expect such a bill to be passed at the moment. And secondly, Emanuela, you cannot take the cost of a problem to solve the problem. Initially, this crisis broke out because the lawyers, the common law lawyers, felt marginalized. Even the teachers, they rose up, and then because French judges and magistrates were sent to judge English people, and that was the cause of the crisis. Now, if they are coming to establish the fact that they can send English or French magistrates in English regions, it means they are taking the same cost of the problem to solve the problem. Now, there is a definition of insanity that another definition is that when you do the same things over and over, you expect a better result. It means you are insane. If I look at it critically, if we divide this region of Cameroon, there are 8 French-speaking regions. If these 8 French-speaking regions cross into the English region with the French language, and the English lawyers cross here with the English language, this site will dissolve the English 20%, while the 80 French% will dominate the English-speaking region. It's a clear indication that they are introducing the assimilation in a pacified manner. That's one of the things we have to understand. Secondly, Anglophone CPDM parliamentarians refused to vote this bill.
We're going to talk about that for the first time, because this is something we hardly see. Most people have called the Anglophones are in CPDM blacklist and the rest because they always stand for what the government stands for, and some people think that's not what they are standing for. But for the first time that a bill was passed, even at least the Anglophone CPDM members, SDF MPs, everybody stood against this bill.
Because that automatically is trying to annihilate the existence of the Anglo-Saxon culture. We should understand that we have 2 different historical backgrounds, and these backgrounds must be maintained. The issue is they are misinterpreting minority for stupidity. That the Anglophones are a minority doesn't mean they are stupid. That they are a minority does not mean they are foolish. The fact that we don't have a voice or don't have the masses to stand and speak for us doesn't mean that we are not level-headed. For them to introduce this bill is a clear indication that they have no value for the Anglophones. Because if the cause of a crisis could be undermined to the extent that they are trying to take the same cause of the crisis to try to solve the crisis, a clear indication that upon all what has happened put together, the burning down of houses, killing of individuals, both military and civilians, does not bother this government even the least. They have no conscience. That's what I'm trying to make people understand. And then getting back to what I was trying to say, that in the parliament for the very first time, Anglophone who are CPDM, Lifaka Emilia and the rest, Bola Meki and the rest in the upper and the lower house, they refused to vote this bill, and then the bill still went through. It's a clear indication that the Anglophones in the upper and lower house are just there to fill in the blank spaces. They are not there to contribute anything, because without them the bill still went through. I heard that in the parliament there was a little break because there was tension. When they came back, before the other parliamentarians could come back, they already voted. In the name of voting, they just enforced the bill. It's a clear indication now they don't need your opinion. You are just there to make the whole world understand that the Anglophones are not being marginalized, not that they need anything from you. So it's a purely French society that the minority Anglophone are not given an opportunity to even communicate. It's a very sad situation that in a country that is 2 different countries came together with 2 different cultures. Now, how do we ascertain this? We have the civil law. We have the common law, they have the civil law. How can a civil law magistrate judge in a court of a common law lawyer? We have the English, Anglo-Saxon system of education, we don't have the French system of education. How do we come together and then work? How can a French teacher be teaching in an English class? You don't expect a lion cub that has been trained to
teach
eat
history or geography.
You don't expect a lion cub that has been trained to eat meat from birth to start eating grass at old age. It's very impossible. There are people in Florida who even have difficulties in the common English that we are studying. Then talk less of introducing them to some kind of French. Again, I went to school. I wrote O-levels. I didn't pass French. I'm very sincere. That doesn't make me an illiterate. We should not level education at the level of a language, because in the first place, this language that came from outside is what has caused us to lose our identity. If you look at Bamoun and then Source, there are two brothers, Nchari and Angonso. But because of language, they are being considered as Anglophones and Francophones. If you look at the Doualas and the Bakweres, it's two brothers that they migrated from the Bamba and came to from the Gabon to Bamba, Mbedi. They separated here, they went to Southwest and the other in Douala. Now they are considered as Anglophones and Francophones. This language of a thing that has been the reason why people are dying in the country is still pouring more fuel to the already ignited flame. I think they should get out of the concept of linguistic and they get out of the concept of language or Anglophone and Francophone and deal with us as Cameroonians. We must be sincere. All this system that we have been trained under, I think to introduce me now to French system of education or civil law, you are giving me a problem. There is a law in the French civil law that if you are locked in prison, you can be bailed and you stay outside even though as a prisoner. But that is not found in the common law. Now, how do you expect a judge who has been trained under the civil law to go and maybe chair a court or head a court or be a master of a court and then introduce that kind of law? The lawyer himself, who is an Anglophone there, will see a divergence between the two laws in the same court. So I'm thinking that they are trying to juxtapose everything and then assimilate us into the system of the French ways of operating.
Thank you very much. Dr. Nick, looking at the, let's talk about this issue that for the first time, all CPTM, that's those who are Anglophones, those who are from the Northwest and Southwest region, for the first time, those in Parliament, in the upper house, lower house, senators, all of them came together and said no to this bill. But we saw that this bill still pushed through. Now, does this make people to understand that they don't even have an effect in what's happening in the country?
No, let me start off by congratulating all those MPs and senators, especially of CPDM extraction, because you know that the last time when the SDF was struggling with this thing, those of them Anglophones, they joined their the CPDM Anglophones, they joined their Francophone brothers and walked out and abandoned SDF there to be fighting the Anglophone cause. So this time around, they were very smart and realized that they were digging their own graves, and therefore they stood up as one man, as they say, to say no, enough is enough. That happens when you begin to realize that your life and your future and the future of your children is more important than the bread you are having. When you get to the point where your head thinks more than your stomach, then wisdom begins to speak. That was the beginning of wisdom. Might be you had wasted so many years in Parliament, but that is the first time you are worth your salt. So stand by it, stand by your people, and do what is right. So you give people some hope. Well, it doesn't matter, of course, that the Francophone majority voted what they wanted to vote. But the most important thing is that you as a people with a culture, a people, a territory, a history, you stood up and said that was not the way to go, and that has entered into the history books, and that is great. We salute you for that. And for our other brothers, might be they voted because they didn't really understand what it's all about. But let us say this: if you do something, it can be into law, it can be in the constitution, but as long as it's not right, it's not right, and it will be changed one day.
Definitely. So this is some kind. So despite the fact that the bill has pushed through, it's some kind of they're washing their faces, because we know that most people have called them blacklists, particularly those of the CPDM.
Yes, we can say that because I heard in the corridors somewhere that during the national dialogue, for instance, all these our elites and CPDM, they were cornered and then intimidated that if they don't only talk about decentralization, if they mention federalism, they will be dealt with. So this, for once, they said no. This thing of intimidating us all the time, like when they go, they put you in a corner, intimidate this Anglophone over there, intimidate the other one there, then come into some session and just push things through. But I'm sure this time around they said you're not going to do that kind of rubbish to us again.
Okay, we're going to be back on the same topic. Ladies and gentlemen, the numbers are on the screen, the lines are open. You can call us and give us your views. There are some messages on our Facebook page live. I'm going to read some in a couple of minutes. So let me begin again with you. Let's talk about this special status that has been unveiled. It has been long awaited for. We have seen the national dialogue. They've been talking about special status. People are like, what what does this thing really carry? It really carries, well, is it going to have weight that is going to make people satisfied with what the outcome of it? And even though it's out, some people are not satisfied, but others are saying half bread is better than none. Listening to what has been given and what has been said, what do you think about it? Let me just read like 4 main points again, because it was very long and it's difficult.
Before you even read that, let me just give a general appraisal of it before we get lost into that.
Okay.
Listen, I'm very passionate about that topic because we've been working on it for a very long time and talking about it. And you remember me going on air most of the time to say that thing, special status, was just a container, and then that it is the content that actually would tell us
give
whether,
it the weight,
weight, whether it's acceptable or not. So. Special status, and then there are some issues about this special status. But before we get lost again, let me just say a couple of things so that the records are set straight. Listen, the president himself, if I'm making a mistake, go and ask President Paul Biya, he will tell you that I'm correct. That what you call Cameroon today, he said it in Paris, don't forget. And during the 50th anniversary celebration of something in Boya, he also reminded everybody about the history. That this thing called Cameroon is a product of 2 states. A state that was called East Cameroon. It has about 80% of the population and has 8 regions or whatever, and they speak French and they have their own way of doing business. And there was this other there was this other territory which still exists with a people that they call West Cameroon. Some other people call it Southern Cameroon, and the people who have been made very angry call it now Ambazonia. So it's referring to the same people, the same whatever. Now these 2 people, West Cameroonians and East Cameroonians, they came together to form this thing called Cameroon. And the way they started was a Federal Republic of Cameroon. And over the line, because there was an assimilation agenda, they kept chipping away at the support pillars until the whole house is almost crumbling now. And people are now shouting because the Anglophones realize that the roof is going to fall on them and bury them for life. That's the problem. So it does not matter. And then along the line, when problems started in the 1996 constitution, when there was a lot of heat, somebody injected something called special status in that constitution. And technically, if they had put in place that decentralization and whatever caused special status at the time, maybe it would have solved the problems. But it was injected there just to send people to sleep. So 23 years afterwards, we now go to this thing called a national dialogue, and then the heat goes up again. And then somebody scratches his head, an old man who was there at the time, he said, no, we injected something in that constitution called special status. And then everybody said, huh? So you mean there was something called special status? And then everybody claps for him, and then we dust it, and then we wait again 2 months to see what the content is, and that's what we were given. I'm just trying to now listen. And on social media, remember, we started off as 2 states of equal status. Now, somewhere along the line, that one has beaten the other one. He has become so much pop that he now decides that I will now give you something I call special status, and I dictate the contents, and you swallow the quinine. Are you getting what I'm saying? That is where we are now. So while you are asking me, what do I think about the special status? Listen. Of course, I'm on social media now. Is the in thing, and I was battling with some barrister that Valentine knows about. I'm sure you read it. And I was trying to say, look, this special status thing, and I'm not happy with this. And the man accuses me. No, you are at the national dialogue, so you have no right to complain. Whatever was accepted there is your position too, so you have no right to complain. I said that's a lie, because the way it was crafted in Yaoundé, you could have been there, but you didn't even know what was going on behind those locked doors, and you were not allowed to come to those locked doors. And whatever they decided there, whether you liked it or not, that's how it was. And you cannot make me swallow what I didn't accept to. Now, let's continue. The way things were crafted and have been crafted is not the will of the people. It is not the will of the people. Until we begin to do what is right, good, and just, and acceptable to the people, we will not get very far. And letting out people's blood pushing the wrong thing is the wrong thing to do. The ambas, those people
have taken up arms.
who have taken off arms is not the right thing to do. It's not the right thing to do, and we love them to put down the arms. The military too, killing people just because you're killing people and the law protects you, is not the right thing to do. Killing either way is wrong. What my lips is wrong, and it's not the right thing to do. And there are things that we can do to stop all this nonsense and all the killing and the suffering, and we are all refusing to do it. That is my problem. We can solve this problem if we want to, and it doesn't take 2 days. So just doing the wrong thing and getting more people to be killing others is not right. And we should give people their breathing space, let them breathe and be who they want to be. This special status as it comes out now is not the right thing, and it's going to solve the problem, and we should solve the problem. That's all I've got to say.
Thank you very much. I'll be back. We'll talk about it detailedly. Probably we'll treat 4 points in particular and go into it, but let's talk about it globally first of all. The long-awaited special status, what it contains, is out. Generally, looking at everything, we're going to focus on probably 4 points, but looking at everything since it's very long, like, what do you think about it? Does it really touch the heart of the problem?
It doesn't, and it will never. Let me say this: we are discussing the form of a state, and special status is not the form of a state. Maybe I should remind Cameroonians that there are 4 different forms of state we are deliberating on. We're talking about federation, we're talking about confederation, we're talking about unitary or secession. And if all these 4 states are not properly defined,
probably 5. Did you call it decentralization?
Decentralization is not a form of state. It's not a form of a state.
Okay.
Decentralization is not a form of a state. I'm going to clarify you, because we have to understand. Okay, even the federation will have the quasi-federation and the loose federation. The loose federation is what Nigeria is practiced, where power is concentrated in the hands of the executive bureau, and then the states now control their authority. While you have the quasi in America where a state has the right to decide
everything.
So even the federation is broken into pieces in different fragments. Decentralization is not a form of a state. I don't even want to get into that because we don't even have much time. Not a form of a state. We talk about confederation here, we talk about federation, unitary or secession. These are 4 different forms of states that the world understands. And special status is not even first and foremost a form of state.
Definitely, it's not found amongst any.
And then let us consider the fact that we want to accept the special status. Emanuela, you just read a few of the contents of the special status. That is assimilation in a pacified form. Because if you look at it critically, the word may there in English is conditional. That is, we may do it and may not do it.
You might vote, you might be the councillor, it
might not still happen. So as a matter of fact, in a nutshell, all that thing compiled together is a farce. It has not communicated anything. That's the beginning to start with. So if Cameroonians want to actually solve this problem, they should accept, because the US Congress just wrote to the president. If maybe you don't understand, they just wrote to the president to tell him that he should pursue the Swiss-led dialogue. I think this nation has once been a federal state, which if we are even going to, they say, aim for the moon. If you want to fall, you fall at the stars. Aim for the moon. So if they are asking for 100% independence, we can give them 60%, which is at least federation, to pacify the tension. The issue is the government is trying to drink drugs for headache while they have leg pain. They will never get well. That's just a simple truth. But Dr. Nick, you are a doctor.
I know.
At least when a case is diagnosed, it's at least 50% cured.
Yes.
Cameroon government has not even diagnosed what they are sick of. Talk less of taking the right drugs to cure what they are sick of. So I think they should go back to do the diagnosis of what they are sick of. They are sick of secessionists. They are sick of federalists. They are not sick of special status.
Yes.
So try to drink the drug of special status when you are sick of federation or secession is, that one is an error of a very greater magnitude. So to me, let us remove this subject of special status and put aside. If we go to the content, it will be provocative. The notion as a whole is wrong. Then diagnosing the content becomes a crime. It becomes a more grievous crime.
We definitely need to talk about it because people need to understand. See,
I'm a Cameroonian. I think I should sensitize Cameroonians. To me, nothing has been discussed, because we cannot be saying that we are trying to solve a problem. Why on the field, what is happening? I went through Abiy Ahmed's speech recently when he was taking his
Peace Nobel Prize
at Oslo. He said people are talking peace from their air-conditioned offices. Some are talking peace from their bedrooms. He is talking peace because he has once been a commander of a regiment, and his entire band of soldiers were wiped out at the war front. He has seen parents, mothers crying under bullets. He knows the image of war. So when he becomes a peace crusader, he's talking out the practical experience. A lot of people sit in the parliament, they drink their wine, their swollen stomachs and their puffed jaws. They don't understand what is on the field. If they get to the field and understand what is happening, how children are dying, military, both the military and the civilians who are dying, they are Cameroonians. We are not talking on a particular side. All the military who have died, they are our people. The civilians who have died, they are also our people. Houses burned, they are our people. So we are not talking as if we are trying to side. We are talking for the betterment of the nation. We are talking as a stand-up Cameroon. We are talking as a civil society. We are talking as a people who want the well-being of this nation. So the content of the special statute to me is drinking headache medicine or you have leg pain. If for the reason that this program has to go to 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock, we will talk about the content of the special statute. That's just the reason why. But to make Cameroonians to understand that the government is drinking toothache drug for leg ache.
Thank you very much, Mr. Valentine. Let's talk about the content, because people need to understand what they're getting into and see if this really concerns them or not. Now, let's talk about the content. Let's talk about.
Do you mind if I do something?
Yeah.
My friend,
Valentine.
yes, Mr. Valentine was saying something. Let me just clarify something again and push a point so that people understand. He was saying something about the forms of state, and there is this word decentralization. Let me try to explain it so that we really know, because sometimes when someone wants to take you for a ride, he uses a lot of terms, and then you get carried to some place that you don't know. Look. If you say decentralization, then the opposite of decentralization is centralization. So you only have two positions as far as that word is concerned. Either it is centralized over here or it is decentralized. All right? Now, centralization is what we have had in Cameroon for the past, I don't know how many years.
More than 30 years, definitely.
So initially we were decentralized up to 1972. I will explain that. Then in 1972, we became centralized. And now, because that centralization is causing a lot of headaches, the cry has been to, okay, let us again decentralize. So decentralization is an adjective which describes a different it's a span. It's decentralization is not one thing. Decentralization is this blanket statement that means one of four things. All right, one of four things. Okay, let's start. Decentralization just means that you are breaking it up and sending it over there. That's all it means. It's no longer packaged like that.
Yes, everything comes from one place.
Then when you now take decentralization from the understanding of the Cameroon government, when they say decentralization, they mean 10 parts. That's what they mean. But it is written in no dictionary anywhere in the world that when you say decentralization, it means 10 parts. It doesn't exist. It does not. So that's very clear about that. So decentralization, you define it and then give it and say how you are going to share it. All right, I give you a piece of chicken, you can cut it in any number of pieces, and you give the reasons why you are cutting them where you are cutting them. All right, so we have agreed. So when the Cameroon government is saying decentralization, to them they are meaning those 10 parts. When the Americans are saying, okay, go and decentralize, Americans mean different things, so they are not communicating. Are you getting what I'm saying? Now let's follow this logic. So the Cameroon government says decentralization, which means 10 parts. The other Anglophones are saying decentralization into 4 federal states or entities.
Yeah, or 2. Some people are calling 2.
You can see I'm falling from 10 and I'm going to where I have to go. So we go to 10. People have reasons for 10. People have reasons for 4. And people have reasons for 2.
Yeah.
And when it comes to 2, you have some other two terms that you can define under the 2. There's federation as we had it in 1972, which means West Cameroon and East Cameroon. Then after having looked at the internet and so on and Google search and so on, I define what is called confederation, which is still 2, but it's a lot better than the federation and gives people more room to breathe fresh air. So when we are saying decentralization, like in that book, like the government, it does not necessarily mean 10, except you specifically say decentralization, 10 parts, but you must also accept that there's decentralization, two parts. And then you have to, we have to debate those things and find out which is good for the people.
Yeah,
you cannot impose on the people. And the people in the Southwest one and those elites and the CPDM, the 10 parts was imposed on them. That was not their original agenda. What we need to solve the problem in this country is decentralization. In that special status, if they wanted to solve it, yes, call it special status. Is the content that makes sense? Take the definition of confederation and throw it in it, and there's peace.
Some people are even asking on social media when we put up this topic. Some people are asking if since it's two states that came together, does the government even have the right to give Anglophones, those in the Northwest and Southwest special status?
No. You cannot. You cannot. Francophones now begin to spoon feed Anglophones. Say, okay, you wanted Ovaltine, let me give you a little bit of pap. Is this sweet? Let me put some on it. That is not the issue. That it will not solve the problem. It will not solve the problem. Francophones cannot give Anglophones special status. Bottom line.
Okay, so now let's talk about the special status definitely is going to be given, and just like the bill has been passed, so it has been adopted. It is taking that, it has been voted. So we need to talk about the content. We don't have a choice. It has gone through. Let's come. You want to chip in something for
Yes, I want to.
Okay.
If you say the bill has been passed,
yes, they have voted it. So
it's been voted, but that does English, French, or an Anglophone.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that it's going to be practicalized.
Definitely. There's a problem. There's a problem of implementation. First
yeah,
of all,
is a risk. because it is not as it was during the time of the British.
Yeah, because we even have people in like the southwest region, people fight their chiefs now. Before we could not get that. We hear chiefs fighting for land with civilians. Before,
so
when you read the history books,
the chief have these days? The chief doesn't have. As a matter of fact, in those days, if you look at the wars that took place, the Manonso War, the Manobango War, Benamanfe War, you see how the chiefs stood with their people. There was a bond between the chiefs and the elites. Now you get back to Cameroon here, a chief is in a village, the people are being killed, and the chief goes to find solace from the place that is killing his own people. He's no longer a chief. So whatever house of chiefs, we're going to have another house of RDPC in the restive regions of Northwest and Southwest.
Dr. Nick, do you think that the House of Chiefs, most people have been calling back for this? People have been saying this are one of the things that Anglophone
let me complete what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Those chiefs in those days did not belong to any party.
Yeah, that is true.
One of the things that has killed Cameroon is partisanship. Partisanship has killed patriotism. A lot of people have been swallowed by the whims and caprices of a political party because of their personal interest at the expense of patriotism. A good Cameroonian should not be partisan in nature. It's supposed to be patriotic. And now if these chiefs are in a political party and this political party gives you norms of operation, it's a clear indication that the chief cannot operate beyond the norms. Because if you look critically, most of our Anglophone brothers who have been given a taste of the national cake in the CPDM party do not even have a voice anymore to defend their people. Look at like the case of Catalonia. Immediately Catalonia intended to separate out of Spain, the Bible says all their parliamentarians back out of the Spanish parliament. That brought the UN as fast as possible. Because why? A parliamentarian or a senator has credibility and immunity both internationally and nationally. Now the reason why UN is still delaying to step into Cameroon is because why? The people who pick guns are not recognized. They are considered as drug addicts, hoodlums and terrorists. And the ones who are spearheading the revolution have no recognition in the country. Now if I come to your house and your child is crying, and I say, Emmanuel, that child cries, I say, forget about that child, that's how the child is, automatically I will not pay attention to the child. The parliamentarians and the senators are the voices of the people in their constituencies. Now, if the children are crying that they are being marginalized, and the so-called fathers who are the voices of the people are quiet, they are telling the international community that forget about all this noise they're making here. If they are truly crying, we'll be the ones to make the public know. So if the parliamentarians are quiet and not making any statement, it's a clear indication that we have all concluded that the boys who are making noise are hoodlums. That's the reason why there is a delay of foreign intervention as far as the crisis is concerned. So I think we should have a second thought, because there was no partisanship in the days of the British rule. Now we have partisanship. We have people who are in political parties.
And that has affected the chiefs.
It's affected the chiefs, their authority, their relationship with the people. So that House of Chiefs, I'm just bothering myself entering into the contents because the whole notion.
Definitely. Yes, Dr. Nick, the House of Chiefs. People have been clamoring for it, and now it has been.
Let me say something about the House of Chiefs. You know, we talked last time about a document that a couple of us sat and wrote together as the contents of the special status, and there were about 11 articles in it or something like that, and it was sent to the Prime Ministry. And when you look at this document, when it popped up like, okay, special status, these are the content, House of Chiefs, I felt very I participated in writing that other document. Yeah. But we were a little bit silly and stupid in the sense that when you are asking for something from somebody, don't start with the small things. You know, it's a principle of negotiation. Yeah. You know, it goes back again to that thing that we explained, Parota's rule, the 80-20 rule. Deal with the big issues. When you present him the small issues in the minute, he will give you the small issues and keep the meat. So what they did is, you people are clamoring for House of Chiefs. Oh, have a House of Chiefs. It's an empty shell. It's no use. And you know it's an empty shell because we have problems in the country, and the boys who have the guns in the bush, the question we should ask is, did they go in the bushes and they are killing themselves and are willing to be killed because of the House of Chiefs? That's the question you should ask. It is not because of the House of Chiefs that they are carrying the guns. So you need to find out why are they carrying the guns and pay attention to that. The House of Chiefs will solve no problem, and it's a distraction. If you put every other thing together, the house of chief becomes the little pepper and salt that you add in your soup.
When everything has been sold.
Yes, you don't. If I come to your house and you want to feed me, you don't serve me salt and pepper. No, you give me the meal. Then you say, then they add a little bit of salt over there and the pepper there to
spice it.
You don't give me spices. No, so it's wrong.
Okay, Mr. Valentine, the post of the government delegate was scraped off. Most those in the English-speaking regions, the Northwest and Southwest, have criticized this post of government delegate. They don't know why he's there because his job is almost safe.
We need a special status to scrape the post of a government delegate. It's an abuse of democracy and politics. Clear with facts on ground. Simple as ABC. A mayor is elected by a people. It is the people's choice.
So it's supposed to be more than the government.
Where do we get government delegates in the first place? As a matter of fact, we don't need a special status to kick all those government delegates out of those urban councils. It's as simple as ABC. A mayor is, go to US, a mayor is as powerful. Go to England, very powerful, because it's the people's choice. When a man is voted into power, he has influence by the people. The people must have ascertained him and qualify him to be their ruler. Then you take somebody who is appointed. How can an appointed man be over somebody who is elected by the people? It's an abuse of democracy. So scraping our government delegate is like trying to fool and deceive those who have not gone to school that they are doing something extraordinary. We don't need a special status. As I'm sitting here like this, Emanuela, I can scrap up the government delegates and without any special status. They merit to be. I can scrap them from here. What do we need a special status for?
Now people are going to lose their jobs because the government delegates. We have many people that have been on that seat, so it's not like it's something very happy that not everybody is going to welcome, even though most people have called for this.
No, the thing about it is that you first have to realize that in Cameroon we have, when it comes to jobs, we have the civil service and then the private sector, and there are a lot of people in the civil service. If someone really had to sit down and do a good study, 25% of that civil service should go home. You understand what I'm saying? They're not effective. Okay. Where you had a government delegate, the question is, what job was he doing? If he's not absent, were we going to miss something because there's no government delegate? No, he was just a problem, a spanner in the spokes, so to speak. They were not useful, except of course they were creating them more trouble than solutions. And the mayors, a government delegate is just another human being like a mayor. It's not like that when you become a government delegate you have more brains.
Is a mayor with another name?
No, it's just another human being. Also call that human being a mayor, and he's been elected and he will do a better job than whoever has been appointed as delegate. It's just basic and simple as that. So it's not so government delegates.
So these people who are going to lose their jobs.
No, they didn't do anything special to. They should just go home. Whatever they have had as jobs before, they should just enjoy that and enjoy their pension and leave people alone. Don't be a headache to people so that you get a job. Just go home, and the private sector is very good, it's very lucrative. Go join in and do something useful and create jobs for people. Okay,
this one was really a big bone of contention when it comes to this crisis. They said a big chunk of the investment of the country is going to be that a huge budget is going to be sent to the Northwest and Southwest region.
What for?
For the development of the development of the region, because many people have been complaining that huge sums of money comes from that region, but what is given back is very small. That is even unable to take care of the people and the development of the region. So now a big chunk of the money is going to, even though they have not said how much yet, we are still dancing on it. We know how much percentage comes from the Northwest and Southwest region, so probably they should have given a particular amount, or a particular percentage, but at least it has been said
whatever they are saying,
a huge chunk is going to be sent there.
When you say huge chunk, that's already Femania. Huge chunk means nothing. Say this percentage, then people know what you are talking about. Huge chunk means nothing. Ça veut rien dire. Huge chunk c'est quoi? What is the percentage going to them? Besides, again, it's just polemics and so on. And if we had this confederation or federation, you were saying that to this federal state, this is what they are having. It's by percentage. It's by percentage, and it's very clear. All of
vis-a-vis what is coming out from the region as a produce.
All of these things is just a huge chunk. What's a huge chunk? C'est faux, ça.
people have been clamoring for this money, and a huge sum of money should now they say the budget is going to be increased and a huge sum is going to be sent to this region. Should this not calm down people for some time?
To do what?
But maybe if let's just have a little estimation for the government, because if what they used to send was just 2%, maybe they want to send 5% now. At least they've added something, so it should help to calm down the situation, because we see that they're not looking for solutions, but they're looking for things to calm down the situation first.
They are not calming down any situation. Before they will talk about the percentage, they don't need any percentage for now. They should gather money and reconstruct what they have broken down in the northwest and the southwest. After reconstructing that, then they can be able to talk about percentage. What percentage are they going to send that will restore the houses they have burnt, the schools, the hospitals, and all whatnot that the military is carrying out over there? Can they pay for the loss of lives in those regions? We're talking about rebuilding or reconstructing the southwest and the northwest. I'm saying that they should first and foremost start by reconstructing what they have broken down before they start talking of a percentage, because the big chunk of money that they are going to give is something we have been hearing in this country. Do you know that when the crisis started, they said they were supposed to tab Baba you wrote is still in the archives to be executed after 23 years, like the special status that came in 1996, and it was even spoken of in 2019. So wait another 23 years. So by reference hospital in Bamenda, we are yet to see the first block that will be laid. All these promises are for a man who is dealing with a prostitute. When you want to have her body, you promise her heaven and earth. Once you have her, you put her aside. The Southwest is considered as a prostitute to the Francophones. They want to use and dump with all the promises. We have outgrown that. Sustainable development projects are carried out with teams on the field and practical manifestation of all the things they have been speaking. Since they started telling us all these things, they are telling us big chunk of money. What did they promise us in the past that they have not done? We're going to believe this one. Have they built the reference hospital? Have they tarred the roads? Have they given us a ring road?
Probably the crisis was not then. The crisis has made a lot of things to change. We should probably see the good side of what this crisis has brought, because probably before they did a lot of promises and they did not do anything. And
do you know this thing we are talking about is a marriage? It's of two different parties. Definitely. You're a married woman. Imagine your husband only gives you money when you are sick. Is that love? No, let's be sincere. It's a marriage between the English speaking and the French speaking. The French speaking stands with the husband, which is the majority. The English is like the wife. How can a woman be in a house? She don't care if she eats, she don't bother if she wears her part or she dresses well or she has toiletries or whatever. You only wear her, she has headache. You still start thinking of how you will buy drugs. Can you stay in that kind of house? Why should the crisis be the reason why the government is proposing to do this and that and this and that? You only have to be a prostitute. And I think Anglophones have grown beyond the level of a prostitute. Somebody more important wants to place value on them. And the government should understand that this marriage, if it's going to work, then it has to convince us with practical manifestations and visible investment, not telling us that a greater chunk of the money. What chunk, Emanuela? What chunk?
Can I just say something about the chunk of money that's going to become whatever? Now let's say something about the reconstruction before it ever gets started. You would bear with me that a lot of money has been circulating in this country for one reason or the other, and then you never really get a report on where the money went to or whatever. Yes, a chunk of money could be sent. They just say chunk so that at the end nobody can give can give an account as to how it was used or not used. Now this is it. When the money will come for reconstruction, you are going to see a lot of companies that are coming from wherever, especially coming from the Francophone area, just to come there and then construct whatever and carry their things and go. A lot of money will come in, but less than a third of that money will be used for the benefit of the project. Actually, all of it will be shipped out again by unscrupulous businessmen. If we really want peace, let us, when peace returns and the reconstruction phase is going to be started, we should gather all the youths in the Northwest and Southwest region or the former West Cameroon, they should form companies that are well looked after, and these people should be the one to build and construct so that they can retain the money in their place and get it up, and then make the communities be a watchdog over what is being done. Say, okay, we are building this classroom over here. This classroom over here costs 30 million francs, and your son over here, Mr. Ambe Valentine, is responsible with these other youths for building it. These are the specifications, and we say, Mr. Ambe, you are going to use the local people to bring the sand, the stones, and so on. Use local labor to build. That is the way we are going to do it. To say that the people of Anglophone extraction will sit again and fold their arms, and you have some people coming in air-conditioned cars to come and mess them up, that should not happen. Watch my lips. If you want to rebuild, let the Anglophones or the people of the Northwest and Southwest rebuild, and to be supervised by the population. Thank you very much.
Okay, let's talk about this specificity that they talked about, the English sub-education and the common law. They know that this was the first, like something that spearheaded this crisis, and now they say they are going to look for a specific situation. They have not explained the kind of specificity they are talking about, but on education.
I hope they are wishes, not content.
Now,
there are no wishes.
When you mention education, I become very, very, very passionate about that. Let me explain why. You know, I was reading, let us just make some facts. Look at Francophone Africa. Francophone Africa is very poor and underdeveloped. All right, very, very poor, chaotic. I mean, let me give you a good example. When you come to Douala, where are the markets? Every road junction is a market. People selling all over the whole place, trucks crushing people. They have no concept of market, no concept of public toilets, no concept of things. So everything is chaotic. And when you look at it, is that chaos that goes into our governance, and you could rightly say that the problems we're having in Cameroon are due to bad governance. You can say that, and you'll be okay. Now, this is it. When I read, you know, there were some of those accords that were signed between France and its territories when they were getting independence. I think amongst one of those clauses, it was said that if the Francophone states wanted to correct their education, they had to take permission from France. That was something. And then, in the meantime, France took an archaic educational system and gave us with the understanding that you have to stay primitive, you will not understand what is happening, you have no understanding of science, technology and engineering, because that's the thing. What makes a people develop and grow and change their economy is science, technology and engineering. Then to that you add good management and the other stuff. So they gave you this archaic thing where you go and study subjects and you cannot remove jiggers from your feet. That is the problem. That's why we are poor. That's why we keep eating Chinese rice, because if they ask you how to grow rice, you even have agri-engineers who have gone to school, ask them to grow rice, they cannot give you a grain of rice. That is the problem. And that thing came from France. They gave it to us, and then it sent us so that you end up with people in coats and ties and so on. They deceive you, you wear coats and ties and give you something, and then you think you're somebody when you're an empty shell. That's the problem. And now, when we come to the special status and Anglophones want to be doing their own thing and follow their science, technology, engineering and mathematics so that they can develop, you say that they may, based on you understand? The Francophone up here who does not even know what education is, he will be the one who may ask you to change. No, there's no may about it. The Anglophones have to change their educational system and follow science, technology, engineering, mathematics, all of that with management and so on, and have a breakthrough, and the economy and the development will be okay. And the Francophones are welcome to copy what is right and to be free. Don't put people as far as their education and put it in a box and say you would determine what they should teach their children. That one a lie.
Talking about the educational system, the specific situation that they say they're going to give.
Emanuela, if this special status could be giving us a system of education and then our judiciary system, what did we have at first? That it is a status. That is, look, I'm very rational in my way I reason. What did we have at first that it is a status now which is special? That is giving us our Anglo-Saxon system of education and is giving us our judiciary system back. It means they stole it now. They stole it from us. So special status now is coming to restore what was stolen. So it is not a special status. is a restoration status. They are restoring what they collected from us. How can they be saying that our English system education should be given to back? What did you study in school? Was it not the English system? Or you were given a French system? Because for them to say that they are coming to give us back in the special status, I've said that all these things that are written here is to confuse Cameroonians. Cameroon is still the same it used to be, the same way. Everything is still the same way it used to be. They have just taken some nice words. I've gone back to government delegate, I've scripted that I don't need special status. Number 2, judiciary system. We don't need special status to have it. We have common law.
Period. Just
what is special status giving us again? Has the common law changed? Or we have some uncommon law lawyers that they are trying to give us now, because we should be able to know what we did not have than what they are giving us now.
Yes.
If they are giving us common law back, what did we have? We had uncommon law. If they are giving us Anglo-Saxon, which means we had German-Saxon education, they should be giving us what we don't have, not what we have.
Yes.
Hey, Manuela.
That's logic. You just play around with
it's
people.
Playing around with words. I'm very sorry to say this. We may be the minority, but we are not stupid.
No, we aren't. We aren't.
Minority is not stupidity. This one should sink deep into the very bones and marrows of every francophone. As a matter of fact, we are a minority in this country, but the most intelligent. That's why in this so-called special status and making it look very watery and porous before the audience. Because you should be giving me what I do not have. Don't give me what I have. So when you say you are giving us the Anglo-Saxon system of education, the first Anglo-Saxon university in this country is in Boya, and that's what we have. Second is in Bamenda, that's what we have. We have common law system, not civil law. What are they giving us back? Let's be able to ratify and be able to rationally, reason this thing now. End up.
So in fact, really, what they probably wanted to say was that you'll be given the opportunity to improve on what you already have. If that's what it is, then say so, and then it'll be clear that you from now on decide what you want to do and so on. But again, as I said, all of this one would have been thrashed out if we had our confederation. Simple.
Definitely. Let me read a couple of messages and then we'll come back to now talk about, because it's already been adopted. So what are let's talk about the realities, because there are many things that we know, we feel is right or wrong in our heads, but now we need to really talk about the realities on the field. So we have a message, we have a couple of messages on our Facebook page. Evans Roger, he says the special status for the Northwest and Southwest is nonsense and cannot even be applicated. Okay, thank you very much. Emmanuel Epongbang, he says the only solution is total restoration of the independence of southern Cameroons. Dukong says, how can we be talking about building of villages when war is still on? No construction. That is Kingsley Ebong. The 12,000 people who have been killed, let them bring back these people alive. This is not possible. Those who have been killed everywhere. The message is long, but I'm not even just going to read that till the end. Okay, we're going to continue with the messages in a couple of minutes. Those who have died, they cannot be brought back now.
No, it's not possible.
Yeah, so we need to talk about a way forward.
War casualties.
Definitely. Despite what has happened, it's a bad thing where we cannot.
Yeah, it's a bad thing, but I have something to say. If I have a problem with you, violence doesn't solve any problem. But from day one, we knew that these are the problems, and you solve the problems with wisdom. Violence doesn't solve the problems. And we started on the path of violence, and I don't want to go into the argument who started the violence. No, because when you just keep spinning around in circles, let us agree that violence is not good, and killing someone just for the sake of your ideas is not worth it. At the end of the day, you would lay down the arms and still talk. And the international community is encouraging that we should follow this Swiss-led dialogue or whatever it is. I think that is the right way to go. Do things rightly. Do what is right, just and good. Stick to common good and give people their space. And the beautiful thing again, I want to thank His Excellency President Paul Biya for telling the world from Paris that Anglophone should be left alone. Assimilation is not the agenda. So these people doing these laws, and the president has not yet signed. Because until he signs, that's when it becomes law. I don't want to tell the president that those people in parliament did not respect his his opinion, and have gone ahead to go to try to assimilate. It's this thing that is the assimilation, and she should do something about it so that Anglophones are not assimilated. Thank you.
Betty Okupa, the girl, she says the government of Cameroon is not ready to solve the problem. They should leave the southwest and northwest region alone. So let's talk about the realities on the ground. These things have been adopted, decisions have been taken. Now we know that we have a problem of implementation, but probably things are going to be different now because of the crisis. Everybody wants peace, everybody's talking about the way forward, so they're going to implement it. How should people take this?
How are they going to implement it? Because I think you can, like Dr. Nick said, you can pull a horse to the stream, but you cannot force it to drink water. It's obvious that Cameroonians or Anglophones who are lawyers will not take it to attend a court session where a French magistrate or a Francophone magistrate is passing judgment in French. And you or I know in communication, somebody has to understand what you are saying before it is considered communication. Many people are talking, but very few are communicating. If I meet a French audience, I should be able to communicate in French so they get me. If I speak in English all through and I speak in my dialect, I haven't communicated, I have been talking. So if a judge sits in an Anglophone court and then passes judgment in French, and the culprit in question refuses to respond to the fact that he or she did not understand the judge's judgment, the person will not be held responsible. Because for you to speak and don't understand, I'm not guilty.
But that's not what has been happening.
But that is exactly what they are trying to do.
That's an abuse.
That's an abuse of the law.
It's an abuse.
That somebody lives through a one compliment a court and then they just say sur le code pénal, and then he speaks, or then they say you have been given 10 years imprisonment. How? I don't understand what he's saying, so I cannot respond to that. The language does not communicate anything. Now, to implement these things, the lawyers themselves who are in question in those regions will never for once, I repeat, attend a court session, because they are already, without lawyers, there will be no court. A magistrate cannot run a court by himself. So if at all these people, they are trying to introduce this rubbish, they are not willing to submit to it, will not work. Passing a bill doesn't give it an automatic execution.
Let's take another example somewhere which work, and probably try to see if it can work in Cameroun. The country like Rwanda, President Paul Kagame decided to stop French in the country. We know that there was French speaking English and Swahili, and implemented English and Swahili, and it has worked.
You have to understand this. When a people are willing to succumb to a law, it's easy to penetrate the society.
Okay, so that's the difference.
There's already a riot against this bill by the lawyers. So they have not accepted it. The people are looking at Kagame as somebody who is restoring their right. In this case, they are stealing
and their tradition.
Rights. Yes, it's restoring their right and their tradition. In this case, they are stealing the rights of a people. And you don't steal a people's right and expect them to sit quiet. That's it. It's two different circumstances. If they implement Swahili as a language in Africa now, nobody will be angry.
If we really want common ground in Cameroon,
people will be angry. There are people that will definitely.
We want common ground in Cameroon where everybody should feel free. We should all learn German, and we forget English and French, and then go for German, the cultures, and it will be okay. Let's all agree like that. Not German.
It's never going to be okay, Doc.
No. Then the Francophones will know what the Anglophones are feeling. Then we all struggle.
So that example,
Then everybody, would
need to be suffering.
We will all change, and we say we now agree to follow the German culture. Meta or something. That's it. Or we take the Douala language and we work with the Douala language. Everybody will be happy.
Tribalism, we know that that's one big problem in Cameroon now. And so if you say you're taking a particular language, that would be a serious problem.
No, if you came to Cameroon and you wanted one language in Cameroon that everybody would accept, the only language is Douala. Or Douala or Mungaka, the Bali. These two, the Douala or Mungaka, everybody will be okay. So, but if you take Wondo, you take there will be problems.
Why do you think there will be problems?
No, there will be problems. Take a beautiful language from a minority community. Are you getting what I'm saying? Am I correct?
You're right.
Take a beautiful language from a minority community. Or we just forget it and go and bring Swahili and put it here. Then everybody will be happy.
Definitely. Okay, so let's talk about solutions before we end the program. Lasting solutions. Since you feel that all these things that have been done up to now, let's begin with you, Mr. Valentine. All these things that have been done up to now, to you, does not apply to resolving this problem.
It doesn't apply.
What orientation do you want to give again on this?
I will get back to the family. We are a family. The nation is a family, and a father is the one that oversees the affairs of a family. If a child cries leg pain, and you dare give him drugs for headache, you both will not sleep. It's often said that a child that does not allow the father to sleep, the child will not also sleep. And every father also that will not satisfy the concern of a son, he too will not sleep. Now, one of the things I think Cameroonians or the government is playing with is that they have refused to identify what is actually wrong. Number two, they refuse to confront what is actually the problem. Number three, they know the solution, but arrogance, ego, and pride is what is causing them drift away. They feel like authority established through them can cause people to change, to succumb to their whims and caprices. There is a time in life that people come to a place that they are willing to die if some changes don't take place. The government has the opportunity to still put this nation as one and still work as a one and indivisible nation, if at all they are going to put things the way they are supposed to put them. Because even the Anglophones and the Francophones, they are tired. Everybody is frustrated with what is going on right now. I think the best way for them to solve this problem is to follow the Swiss-led dialogue that they are proposing. The Swiss-led dialogue is not for secession. The Swiss-led dialogue is not for unity. The Swiss-led dialogue is gearing towards federation. That keeps the nation as one and indivisible, but everyone has a certain level of autonomy. I think that is what the Anglophones are looking for. Even if I used to say they need independence, if a child demands for 100%, give him 60%. You don't pass an exam by scoring 100%. If you have 60 on 100, you have passed the exams. So the government should not expect to have 100 on 100. They should give them at least 60%, which is federalism. It still keeps the nation as one, because we've lived for so long that it will be difficult for us to just separate like that. But I think there is a way you can give a child a certain level of rights. Like I said, federalism in a family way is like a child who's left the father's house, has his own house, but still pay allegiance to the father. There's a level of autonomy he has in his own house. That's federation. But when you are trying to put people under your roof and keep giving them bread every day, even in natural life, a child who grows in the father's house for too long will one day seek for independence. Not complete independence, but an independent to an extent that he can be able to run his personal affairs as an individual. That is all the Anglophones are asking from the entire government. Give us a certain level of independence that we can run our affairs by ourselves. Yes, stay connected to you.
Definitely. Abdul Karim had to be here today. We're going to talk about that. You're talking about the Swiss-led dialogue, and we have fights already on social media. Ayabacho was actually cursing Abdul Karim because he says Abdul Karim is following the Swiss-led dialogue and that the dialogue should not be followed. And so they're already having a little bit of conflict on the side of the Amazonian activists.
Ayabacho is entitled to his opinion, and Abdul Karim also is entitled to his own opinion. Ayabacho should not impose his philosophy on Abdul Karim. He's an independent individual. One thing is very certain: we can fight in our house, but once we see a stranger outside, both of us will join and fight the stranger. Forget about the in-house fight in Amazonia. When they face an outsider, they will use one mouth to speak, and then come back home and settle their scores.
Okay.
So we shouldn't pay attention to those trivial matters.
Definitely. Doc, lasting solutions to this. It has been happening, and you think that what the government is proposing is not going to the right direction to you. It's not solving the problem. So probably we should come back to the drawing board and give certain solutions that probably they should take this turns.
The only solution that will solve the problems of Cameroon is confederation. It will solve the problems. If you don't know what it is, go find out. All these little bits and pieces of patching over there, and it's a waste of time. And while you waste time, people are dying. And this is the bottom line. If you are responsible for anybody's death, it would not be a very good thing. You have to give an account to God. I know that many people laugh at God's ways. If you talk about God, people laugh at you and think that probably you are crazy. But don't put God to the test. Don't put God to the test. Do what is right, good, and just. Nobody owns Cameroon. Nobody owns other citizens. If you have power, do what is right, good, and just for the common good, and do things following God's principles, the truth, in love, respect life. It's very, very, very important. Give people honor, respect people, seek the truth. Many people, when you're talking about truth, people try to corner you and say this is truth, this is truth. No, truth is truth. Only one truth to a situation. What is the truth in the Anglophone situation? Give people their space. Don't assimilate Anglophones. Let them stay in one country called the Federal Republic of Cameroon, where you have the Anglophones over here, and the West Cameroon over here, and East Cameroon over here. And for people of the Southwest who have been confused, when you have that West Cameroon, there will be the regional decentralization, so that you can have your peace down there, and the Northwesterners can have the peace down, but we stay as brothers. Then over here, these 8 brothers who are Francophones, they can have their own independent decentralization within the East Cameroon thing. And then we give everybody their space. You do your education the way is best for you, your health the way is best for you. Not someone saying in a special status that I will let you look at your health. No. It's a right that you look at your health the best way it suits you. It's your right to look at your education and decide what your children want to. It is not someone to tell you the way you are supposed to educate your children. It's your right for you to educate your children the way you think best for you. And the right education this day is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics with management put to it, and so on. So our children can compete with South Koreans. Our own, we train agri officers who cannot grow rice. What kind of education is that? Bullshit. Thank you.
Really, you were talking about the regime and the system change, but do you think this change can really come under the regime of President Paul Biya, given all those that are under him, and most people have been crying foul that those who are under him are really neglecting the situation? So do you think this change that we are really expecting and clamoring for can come under this regime?
It's only a historian or a non-historian that will not understand how events unfold. For 37 years, a regime could not change. Add another 50 years, nothing will happen. Get back to Ethiopia. In 18 months, Abiy Ahmed transformed the nation economically, socially, as well as politically. Now, at his age, 43 years of age, it could take 18 months and he won the Nobel Peace Prize. I don't think such a person, if he stays in power for 37 years, Ethiopia will not become a world power. So for somebody to have stayed in power with a group of people for 37 years and things have not changed, when he was very much younger, agile, active, and the brains were still in order, he could not operate very well. Not now that the medulla oblongata is ebbing away and there's no more energy to think well, that you expect to get better results. It's impossible. Secondly, the system that we have is a very complicated system. Why? Because leadership is a capacity to translate vision into reality, and a leader is a trailblazer, a pathfinder, and a role model. If a leader has not affected his followers, you cannot get somebody as a successor to take over responsibility. If you look at it critically, we have had 37 years of complete,
Le monde, c'est nous.